have said so. But I tell you, from now on, you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven. You notice there's no exclamation point there. Jesus doesn't make this great, powerful statement. I would have done that. I would have said, oh, yeah, buddy, well, let me tell you who I am. Jesus doesn't do that. It's a statement of fact. This is who I am. This is who I am. Then the high priest tore his robes and said, he has uttered blasphemy. What further witnesses do we need? You have now heard his blasphemy. What is your judgment? And they answered, he deserves death. Then they spit in his face and they struck him. And some slapped him, saying, prophesy to us, you Christ. Who was it that struck you? The religious crowd of that day finally had Jesus exactly where they wanted him. They finally had their day with him, I guess I should say. They finally have their night with him. And specifically Caiaphas, John tells us that before they took Jesus to Caiaphas, they took him to Annas. And Annas was his father-in-law. But he doesn't do much, Annas doesn't do much with him, and so they take him to Caiaphas, who is the chief priest. And this is the moment that these hyper-religious men and these hyper-religious leaders have lived for. This is it. For 3 years, they have wanted to get Jesus alone, on their ground. Not to mention, Jesus is tied up, and the guards are present. It's hardly fair. And they did it on purpose. They wanted to get Jesus away from his adoring public. They wanted to get him away from those who loved him, those who he had performed miracles on the last 3 years, those who could speak for him. And they wanted to get liars. They wanted to find men that they could bribe to give false testimony. Finally, these religious rulers have him exactly where they want him. We often think it's sinners. It's sinners who are the greatest enemies of the cross. But I remind all of us again of something